Yo, what's going on, my homies? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of All You Can Eat Warriors. And as we always say, it's All You Can Eat Warriors. My brother Joshy is back for another week. As always, Joshy, how you going there, brother?
Still got the starting six role. Feel pretty good. We're here. Life's good, man. Life's so good. Sun's out.
I was going to say no calf issues, no calf tightness, no shoulder issues, no
little ankle issue, but it should be fine for round one.
Nah, shout out to the chat, guys. You're all absolutely amazing. Good to see you all here. Nalan Sink, what's going on, brother? Tans, what's happening? Jazzy, as always. Randall, good to see you guys come through. Marcus, Warriors forever. Tomato Martin news hurts. Yeah, definitely. We are going to be talking about that very shortly, my bro. Good to see everyone. Yeah, T Mackie. Still chilling. Good to see you there, brother. And Tahi, what's up? Guys, also continue to let me know. This is still a new program that we're using right now. So if everything sounds good, looks good, all that sort of stuff, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. And also, hopefully when your memberships and all that come through as well, guys, I'll hopefully shout out your memberships. I'm trying to use this chat thing right now and it's trying to figure everything out. So guys, please give me a little bit of patience and a little bit of love there. But brother, we may as well start off with... I'm going to start off with the news during the week, probably the biggest news in rugby league before we get through our trial stuff and everything like that. But we're just talking about it in the pre-show, in the pre-room there. The Origin eligibility has come through, my bro. So Kiwi players are able to play in State of Origin, a la England players as well. So Tier 1 nation does not mean as much as what it was in the past, but still... you need to make these guidelines. So I'm pretty sure you had to be under the age of 13 before you come over, so you're able to pledge your allegiance to Queensland or New South Wales. So for me, it doesn't really change too much. But brother, when you heard all the news going around here, what was the first sort of thoughts that went through your head? I know the first big thought that went through my head, and it's a pretty big thought. That's going to be crazy for State of Origin, but I want to hear what your thoughts are with the State of Origin eligibility and what it means for the Kiwis as well.
Yeah, well, my first thought was a big and scary thought like yours, obviously Adam Fanua-Blake.
Yeah.
That is big and scary as a Queensland fan, knowing that, you're gonna verse him in probably all three games of State of Origin this year, which is, bit of a shock to the system. But then I went to like, what does this mean for the Kiwis? Obviously, born and raised in New Zealand, so Kiwis are, the second thing on the mind after the Warriors, and just knowing that we, could have the likes of KP running out for the Kiwis and, Jack Howarth. And then it kind of like continued to divulge, like I continued to go down that path and started thinking about eligibility and how we used to have like Nathan Feen come over and, played for the Warriors and then became eligible to play for the Kiwis and things like that. And so then it went to like Wade Egan, Luke Metcalf. These guys that have been here and are, earning their stripes and haven't played for Australia, haven't played, State of Origin yet. Could we see them also, adopt New Zealand as their home and become eligible, play for the Kiwis? And then if they get called up for New South Wales, that's still an option. So that's kind of where I went. How about you, Ash?
Yeah, no, I love that. When we're talking in the back room, Joshy actually brought up that thought, and that thought never crossed my mind through this whole thing. I was thinking, obviously, for me, first of all, being an Aussie boy, thinking about Queensland, New South Wales, what does this change to that? And to me, it doesn't change too much. Adam Fanua-Blake's a massive change out of this all. Obviously, I've seen in the chat already, you got your Casey McLeans and stuff like that, but I think those guys are still fighting for positions with like the stock that the New South Wales Blues have currently right now. On Queensland side of things, I think it's Britton Nikota is the big name for us. Jerome Hughes is still trying to be worked out whether he can or can't. I've heard on both sides whether he can or can't. Other than that, really, AJ Brimson comes back into the fold, but I don't think it changes too much for the Maroons. I think it more so changes for the Blues with Adam Fanua-Blake, and that's a big change. Then going over to the Kiwis and hearing KP is massive in itself, right? Like, but even then, I was talking to you in the back room, it's like, is it as big as a change for the Kiwis as it probably was as either too? Like, I don't think Isaiah Qatar is going to pledge for the Kiwis just because of this news here either, because I think he prefers to play for Tonga. They've built something so big in Tonga right now. I don't think he will want to jump ship at the moment with the way Tonga's built. You got KO Weeks that can come over, but I don't really see a spot for KO Weeks. You got, Keanu Kinney playing starting fullback right now, and he's absolutely killing it. Obviously, for me, I think KP is the better fullback currently right now, but the future is lying with Keanu Kinney. So it's like, do you really want to make that big of a jump? Does KP find himself in a halves role, but you got Hughes and Brown? So there's a lot of things to work out there. So to me, it doesn't change anything too crazily. That's why I think the takes of like, this is a really bad thing for everything, I don't agree with that in any sort of shape or form. I don't think it changes too much anyway. I think it just opens things up for international game to grow to a different level. And then when you brought up the thought of, guys going over to New Zealand and becoming residency and doing what Nathan Fiend did back in the day, and maybe they have the opportunity to do that without losing their state of origin, it's more of a allure to do that, to play international football. That opened things up even more for me. And I thought that's even better. Like, for me, that sounds awesome. Like, the Kiwis actually get, they get an opportunity now to put a team together without the worries of, Jack Howell saying that he can't because he's going to play for the Maroons. There's a lot of that's been happening in international football. And now these guys are able to actually, as you said, with residency, play international football to the top of the level, play against the Kangaroos and show themselves. Like, if Wade Egan's able to have a killer game for the Kiwis, let's say, that puts his like legacy probably a little bit higher than what he probably could have before, because he couldn't play for pretty much any other team other than the Kangaroos. And at the moment with Harry Grant there, that's a really tough sell. The other one, we're just saying it, it's like, is there any sort of opportunity with Cleary versus Cleary in international football? Like, you got Jet Cleary that was born in New Zealand. He can still play for New South Wales in the future. I'm not saying Jet will ever get there. Listen, I don't want to put too much hype onto Jet Cleary and say, hey, he's going to be a state of origin. But is there an opportunity later on down the track? There's Jet Cleary versus Nathan Cleary, and both those guys could even play origin together still. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. It's it opens up a lot of opportunities league wide, which is really cool. You think about like players that are moving to PNG as well when that comes around, or if there's a second team in New Zealand, like more players being able to move over, and those ones that aren't in the Australian system don't really get the the selectors don't really look to them, even though they play really well, don't really look to them and like, yep, you're our guy. Let's groom you up to play for Australia. Maybe that's an option. Maybe, I don't know if they have a distant granddad that's from New Zealand that they can claim that. I know Ethan Strange. I don't know if he got on the field for Australia last year.
Yeah, that's another option too.
He's had his little taste of Aussie, and now he can play for his heritage, which would be pretty good, and not kill his chances with New South Wales as well. So it's things like that where it just kind of depends on what players view as the biggest part of the game, the pinnacle of the game, right? If they view like New South Wales players, if they view playing for New South Wales and trying to beat Queensland, ultimately failing, but trying to beat Queensland and trying to stop this Queensland dominance, maybe that's their thing, but they don't really feel the same for Australia. Like a bunch of the Samoan boys who play for New South Wales, but then don't even want to play for Australia at all. So maybe it's a kind of thing like that where we can see those players still want to play for New South Wales or still want to play for Queensland, but they choose New Zealand or choose Tonga, Samoa, England. All of these ones. It'll be really interesting to see as well from places like New Zealand, like a lot of kids that you mentioned before with like Jerome Hughes, Britain Nicola, like these guys who moved over to Australia at such a young age. Are they will we start seeing more of that now? Will we see parents now going, well, my kid's 11, we're going to move over to Australia now, get him in the systems, and then he can come back and play for New Zealand, in the future kind of thing. So it's really interesting, the shakedown, because it's not just a change for this year. And I think a lot of people are looking at it as like a year view and like what's going to happen in 2026 state of origin, which obviously is just Adam Fanua-Blake is going to help New South Wales lose. But we're still going to see big changes down the track, and I think that's the more exciting news. Like, it's International Rugby League is back, and that's really, really exciting. Like, New Zealand Rugby League is back. There's something here for New Zealand fans to be proud of, instead of when we lose Jerome Hughes and Dylan Brown, we're running out Chance and Tamati at halves, which, no disrespect to them, I love them both, but when you think about Australia and they lose Cleary and Dearden, or Cleary and Munster, they have, Dearden and Moses right there. Like it's just
the line goes, yeah.
Exactly. Isaiah Katoa, if he wanted to, things like that, where, or he could also, go to New Zealand. It's one of those ones as well where these, like, New Zealand gets bolstered from this. It just will take time.
Yeah, thank God for that too, brother. And I do think that it obviously with State of Origin, I think State of Origin will always have a big stage in rugby league. I think it'll always kind of be looked at as somewhat the pinnacle. I think that it could change over a period of time when the international game continues to rise. I think, with the more of the Kiwi boys that do jump over the State of Origin, play really good footy, might elevate the view set of international football and watching those Kiwi boys play for New Zealand and say, hey, now we can start looking at Australia and New Zealand being probably the pinnacle of the game, then more so State of Origin. Either way, State of Origin for me is always going to be massive, being a Queenslander and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, for the overall view set of the game, I think it helps out everything like that. Couple of great little points that you bring up here, because I saw a couple of comments in the comment section about it as well. So T Mackie, so if my son is really good at league and he's 11, could I take him over to Australia during the holidays, sign him up for a club, have him play one game, and therefore he'll be available for State of Origin? I think there'll probably be formalities around this sort of stuff probably coming over. I think you'll need proper residency and probably to prove residency for a period of time, play for a period of time there over in Australia. So you'd probably have to live there for probably a year and continue on from that. But there's obviously, backing on to that as well, GT, it might make the New Zealand youth move to Australia before the age limit to get the chance to play Origin, as you kind of said before. And I think this was happening previously anyway. I don't think it was... It's obviously going to hit a bigger scale in a sense, but it's also a massive risk for a parent, for a family to do this for a 11, 12-year-old kid, thinking that they're going to be the one to make it. There's obviously so many kids in Australia, right, that are playing rugby league right now, and to jump over to Australia and say, this is the chance for my kid to do this and this, obviously you're going to have all the heart and all the respect to your kid saying he's going to be the one, but that's a big, big risk for that to happen, where, obviously just sit in New Zealand, you obviously be around family and grow that way. I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as what probably people think it is. I think there'll be the variable. There's going to be the family out there that thinks their kid's the next Project Mbappe, Project Nathan Cleary, that they're just going to walk over to Australia, do this, and be able to play Origin in that. But I don't think it's going to be enough to be a problem in my sense, though. But do you see something different?
Not necessarily. Back on T Mackie's point, I was saying before, and before the show started, moving over there for 3 years from the age of 12 to 15 until they can sign their first contract with a club, and just letting the Warriors know, hey, we're available, we're ready. And then being able to come back home and still being eligible. I don't know how the rule set will work around that, but I think, look, so many people are moving their kids over already, right? I know of people who are doing that, and clubs in Auckland are bleeding these 11, 12-year-olds, which doesn't sound like too big of a thing, but it does stunt rugby league in Auckland and wider New Zealand as well for that, when these kids are leaving, no matter their talent level, because that's the talent pool shrinking, and we're on the same as we've been for the past however long, and so this could emphasize that, it could further it, but I don't know, I'm excited to see a 17 of Kiwis versus another 17 of Kiwis in a few years in State of Origin, and then at that point we just turn it back to the Anzac test, and we'll go from there. But no, it'll be a really, really interesting kind of shakedown, I guess, and we probably won't even see it for a while. Say someone moves their kid over today at the age of 12, we're not going to see them for at least 6 years if they're like a Joseph Suali'i, and they make State of Origin at the age of 18, 19. We're not going to see it for a while. So I think after not to park the conversation, but look ahead 10 years, that's where we'll really see this change and how this works. We'll see the change in the international game straight away.
Yeah,
but we'll see that change with how state of origin, how many Kiwis are in state of origin, or how many people like English are in state of origin from the next like in 10 years time. So it'll
Yeah.
be an interesting shakeout, and it's exciting. I mean, maybe we need the third game to always be in New Zealand, like it is going to be next year, like the almost the third state at this point. I mean,
That's what they say, bro. It's in
yeah,
Queensland. Everyone says that.
absolutely. That song is, I love that song so much. That's in Queensland song. That's a good one. But yeah, no, it'll be really interesting to see kind of how it shakes down. I think International Rugby League is going to get better, which is good. I'm excited to rock up to the World Cup this year with, Keanu Kinney, Dylan Brown, Jerome Hughes, Ethan Strange, Kalen Ponga, Wade Egan, Luke Metcalf,
That sounds nice, bro. That sounds nice.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting time, and it's exciting. I think it's only good for the game.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you, bro. As I said to start us all, I don't think this is a big enough deal for people to go crazy on it and say that all this. For me, a lot of this other stuff is very extreme sort of talk. I think that nothing really changes in a sense. I think people are still going to have the same view sets. People have the same sort of ideas of where they kind of want to be. There's kids going to grow up and want to play for the Kiwis and just the Kiwis and don't look at state of origin as what it is. There's going to be kids that want to play state of origin, this and that, but then they're fighting against all the Aussie kids that are coming through and they're playing since they're junior grades as well. So it's like, for me, it doesn't change anything in the sense of the world. Like, obviously, it sucks that it's happened now. We couldn't get Jason Tambalolo over to verse Adam Fanor-Blake. But we'll have to, obviously, Queensland spirit always rises at the end of the day. Like, the New South Wales have always had the best players in the competition. They've always had it. So what's the difference between having it now, right?
That's the thing. I think, like, Queensland could probably pick up a person off Caxton Street and turn them into someone who's going to, be able to go out there and do a job. I mean, we had an edge of Brinko and Edric Lee one year. No disrespect to the Origin legends, but they weren't, like, New South Wales weren't able to handle it. And 100%. So I think that with more players for New South Wales to pick from, it'll cause more problems and more Queensland dominance. And so I find that a win-win, Queensland get a humble 1, 2, maybe 3 players that are now eligible. New South Wales get 40. It still makes it harder for them to choose what team is gonna win.
100%, brother, 100%. But we may as well park it. It's never too early to talk about state of origin, I believe, anyway, being an Aussie boy. But, obviously this helps the international game. This helps the Kiwis. This helps the English game over there too. I think it's a positive all around, guys. And I think we all should get behind it and just see it for what it is. I don't think it changes anything too much. It just changes for the Queensland boys having to tackle that big Tongan monster in the middle. That's going to be good fun for that. But we may as well move to a little bit more of a sour note in a sense, depending on how people viewed this game. So first of all, we're going to talk about our trial against the Manly Seagulls before we get over to the Maori Indigenous All-Stars, because I thought there was more positives in the Maori Indigenous All-Star game than probably what there was in this game here personally. 33-18, the Warriors go down to the Manly Seagulls on our home turf over in Napier. This one was a trials trial. I really was like, early on in the game, that first half, the amount of errors in this game, obviously the weather played an effect for both sides here. Was a little bit of sloppy football. Shout out to the Manly Seagulls though. They turned out, they played with a ton of energy. A lot of guys that are really playing for like big spots there, and they really showed out on that stage there too. I thought their goal line defense was incredible comparatively to our goal line attack. Probably left a lot to be desired, especially with Tanner Boyd and Luke Hanson. We'll get to that very quickly. But quickly on the Manly Seagulls, what probably most impressed you there with the Manly Seagulls? I know the big front row in the middle, Laiafi, I'm pretty sure everyone's trying to pronounce it. I thought that he was a big standout in this game. The Manly got a really good one there. But in general, I thought the two halves and that probably really controlled the game the best that they could. But even then, they didn't blow my socks off, but they obviously produced when it needed to be. But your thoughts on the Manly Seagulls before we get over to our boys?
I think you kind of mentioned it. Like their scramble, their goal line defense was way better than ours. They seemed to play with a lot more urgency, and I think I messaged into our group chat while the game was going on, and just they looked like they wanted it more. And that's been a problem with us in the past where we've, like I think back to a couple of Titans games, where we've come up against the Titans and the Titans are running last, and we're going, this will be simple, this will be easy, and suddenly we're losing to them twice in a season, 5 out of the last 6 times or whatever it is, like we seem to run into these teams and go, oh yeah, this will be easy. And I think maybe it's just a mentality thing. Maybe it's maybe the preseason was too hard. Maybe they're pushing too hard. Maybe it's just that we had an off day, and that's okay. But yeah, Manly, I mean, Joey Walsh was great. Thought he was fantastic, and just like the way they got directed around the park, I think. I mean, and they're big boys, running through the middle. I mean, not really anything we could do. I thought Wakeham was quite solid at 9, actually. Thought he made like quite a few really good plays. I think at one point Sam Healy jumped out of dummy half. It might have been his first or second touch, and he didn't even jump out of dummy half to take a run. Jumped out to play a pass, and Wakeham just attacked the arm, as I guess you can do. I'm not too sure on how far out you need to be from the ruck to have your arm attacked, but yeah, he did that and made little plays like that, and it left us kind of feeling a bit silly, I think.
Yeah, I thought the boys, I thought that we had a bit of like a decent amount of field dominance on the Manly Seagulls in that game. I think it was only Laafi that was kind of like giving us a lot of trouble, I felt like, in the middle of the game. Like I thought that Corey Waddell and all that had some decent performances and stuff like that, but I think with our boys, like I kind of agree with you. I think that the boys kind of went in there for a trial, like a training run, not to get hurt. They didn't want to overemphasize this. I think I had similar sort of feelings, I think, last year with the Sharks trial. I think we came out that with a draw from memory, but the first half of that, we had a decent little team on deck, and we didn't look like we were going at the game at all. And this is what I mean. Like, you can't put too much stocks into trials, because like, pretty sure last year, I think Newcastle won both their trials from memory, and it changed my complete view set on Newcastle from going from a wooden spoon team I thought they were to a little bit up, and they end up being a wooden spoon team. And at the end of the day, like, you see a lot of those sort of teams get up of trial games and play some really good footy. Over the weekend, we've seen a lot of the big ones, like obviously the Dragons, pretty much nearly full strength team, got beat by the Rabbitohs third string team. There's a lot of moments like that, and this is what happens in trials. I think our boys, and even like when I look at our team list that we ran out there's still guys like Geronimo Doyle left a lot to be desired. He's our New South Wales Cup fullback, but even in a sense, I probably don't see Geronimo having probably the up-end abilities to make first grade and really get there. At the end of the day, Hayes Mel is someone we've been waiting for. Ali will definitely be in our first grade squad. Lecker playing out of position. I never thought Lecker was going to be a centre. I think the reason why we played Lecker in that centre position, mainly for myself, was because we are running low on centre depth at the moment, and we put up 7 or 8 players for the Indigenous and Maori All-Star game, right, from memory?
Yeah, something like that.
So a lot of our players are on deck over there. Monsu Pasikala, I thought Monsu had a really good game, but again, Monsu's still very young and going. Like, Luke Hansen hasn't played first grade of just yet. Our forward pack was probably the biggest one that we had there. But other than that, to be honest, they're just guys with a lot of big names. Manly definitely ran with a team that wasn't first class either, but it wasn't too far off of saying that. I think with the first class team, we would have seen probably a little bit more out of it. And coming up this weekend, I think that's where we can really judge this team. I think we ran out there this weekend without, trying to reserve ourselves, not get injured out there, not do things like Dimitri obviously starting off the game and getting a head knock later on. But you know what I mean? Like, for me, I never put too much stock in this trial. Obviously, it was disappointing, a couple of the errors that we saw out there, and obviously Manly coming out with a lot more wants for the game. But at the end of the day, like, as I said, this is trials. This is something that is just weeding those little things out. And from memory, the Warriors, first trial last year never really went too well, and previous to that never really went too well. We don't come with the big emphasis on trials, and seeing the team list this week a lot better than what it was last week, it still shows that we aren't putting emphasis into our trials as much as what we probably preferred in round one, and that, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think we can't really take trial like anything really from our trials into I guess, where we're going. I mean, like the last 2 years, I think we've lost our first trial, or now three. The
Yeah.
year before, 2023, was when we had Luke Metcalf run amok on the Tigers at 7, and we all thought, oh, he'll be a good half for the New South Wales Cup team, and ended up braining it for the first grade team. So it's those kind of things where, like, I didn't expect much of us in 2023 in the trials, and I was happy that we won the trial, right? And I expected so much of us in 2024 and 2025 in the trials, and we didn't do what we were meant to do. And same again. Like I was kind of the feeling that it would be a bit embarrassing if we, were to lose or were to not win by 10, 20 kind of thing. Like, but then again, you have to think about it as these guys are getting their legs under them. They're, having a look at what are we going to do? How are we going to play? What's our structures, what's our defensive structure like? I thought we had a couple of poor reads at times, even like you say with Geronimo. Like, I didn't think he had quite the best game, and I think we saw that a bit in our goal line as well. And so it's a bit hard. Like, again, Manly just wanted it more, and I think there were a few of our boys that stood out. Like a few of them that I really enjoyed watching and thought that that's what we wanted. But a few of our boys as well who I expected to do well, who fell away and weren't quite as impactful as I thought. And some of that was to do with out of position, new combos, things like that. So I don't know, like it's an interesting kind of time, trials, and I always get excited because footy's back, and always got to make sure that I don't get disappointed because we lose the first trial. But it is how it goes, and I'm just excited to see us build those combos and see the new boys come, or the boys that played all stars or didn't play in the first trial get to go this week.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not opposed to people being disappointed. Like, I was disappointed with the performance out there from the boys. I definitely thought we were the better team on paper. We probably should have came away with it. But again, week 1 of trials is never the emphasis of the trial period. Week 2 of trials is where everything needs to come together. And we start to see the closest to the full strength squad going out there and getting their runs under. And again, we'll talk about it a little bit later. We still don't have a full strength squad at the moment running out in that second trial, but we probably should see an uptick in the intensity and the boys getting ready for that first grade, like that first round. Obviously we got the week off in period in between as well, but we may as well switch it to a more positive chat. But let's talk about some of the performances that I thought I really enjoyed in this game. First of all, we talk about one of our early try scorers here with a double, Ali Leotoa, getting on the right edge center spot. So that looks like for me that he should have locked in the right edge center spot. I see it in the team 2 trial. He is got in that position next to Adam Pompey on the left-hand side there too. So that would mean to me that Ali's won out that center spot for me at the moment. Your thought on his performance out there? I thought that he looked strong in contact. I thought that he did all the right things, and obviously two tries off of more fortuitous bounces of the ball, with Hazen getting up there against the young winger in Willett. But your thoughts on his performance, and excited to see more out of Ali this season?
I am. Again, hoping he stays healthy. I know we've been saying that quite a bit about our centres of late, but I'm glad that he was on the right side and not on the left. Because say we saw Lecker on the right side at centre. Yep. Are you thinking that's Lecker's won that spot, which is again not good for Ali, but seeing him out there and just seeing his attention to detail on the smaller things and taking those yardage runs and being like running hard lines. I thought he ran a few hard lines real well, and it was good to see. Obviously, we didn't go too much to the right. I thought we were kicking back to the right mainly because we had Mellors out there, but But I mean, and it worked, right? Kicking out to the right, having Hazen tap it down, and Ali just being there. I think that's kind of what they have been coaching our centres to do, is kind of just being there or being in and around. Say the winger kind of goes into their lane, it's shifting out to the winger's lane so that they can get the pass for the easy try, things like that. So knowing that Ali is putting those things into practice, and while it wasn't a real high intensity game for him, in terms of he's not fully ramped up for the season, still seeing him coming away with a couple of tries and looking really strong. It is exciting because that's what we heard when he was coming through the system, is like, this kid is going to be the next best thing. He's going to be exactly his best centre for New Zealand that we'll see in a while, kind of thing. And so now seeing his solidity, seeing him come into his frame and be able to work in the shapes that we have, he played well. I think he was our shining light. Him and a few of the forwards, but yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting with Ali, so I hope he can stay healthy this year, and if Rocco comes back, I'd love to see that competition between those two for that spot.
100%, bro. And all I know is if Rocco comes back ready to go, like, there's going to be one crazy NRL standard centre in New South Wales Cup at least this year, which is crazy to see. But shout out to Ali. Obviously, the biggest thing with Ali is touch wood, he stays healthy, ready to go. His ankle's looking okay. I thought that it was a great performance out there next to Hazen Mellors. I did hope to see probably a bit more of him, more of the ball shifting his way. I felt like our block shape kind of got stagnated a little bit from Geronimo Doyle, probably not popping up in the perfect position to what Tanner's probably used to. I think that, like, Geronimo was probably a step behind everything there. He was trying to figure it out, work it out there. So that's why I felt like the attack probably didn't look as crispy as what it could, and we didn't get to see the full facet of Ali that's all out the back of shape. But I think that just obviously comes more in time. Quickly, I want to touch on the two wingers that we had out there, Hazen Mellors and Montu Pasikala. I thought out of the two, Montu probably has had the better of the game, but I thought Hazen still showed a lot of ability out there. He's still rough around the edges a little bit, but I thought that he still had a really good crack out there, showed a lot of effort, showed his aerial ability. So it shows that the club's got a really big thought of him in the air, in the aerial game, because we did obviously target that edge aerially when up against the tall Willett on that edge as well. Your thoughts on both of those boys? It's great to see Montu Pasikala have a great trial there, because I felt like he was a name that was going missing a little bit, especially for New South Wales Cup team list, but I thought both those boys had a decent little hit out there.
Yeah, I thought Motu was fantastic. I really actually enjoyed watching him play. I thought he's a real solid frame, and he uses his body really, really well. I think there was a few runs that he did out of yardage that you kind of look back and you go, oh, like that would have hurt. Like as a defender, like you feel that run from Motu, but. I thought, he played well. He played, what we expected of him last year, probably, in the trials. Like, I think, was it last year where he didn't have the best game in the trials, and we all were like, oh no, like, is this the one that's getting away and not playing, how we expect him? But
Agreed.
He showed up this year, and another year under his belt of not only playing rugby league, but maturity, growth as a human development, things like that. So knowing that he's there, I still, I guess it would be between him and Hazen for, I guess, fourth string at the moment, if we, or fourth rank. But then again, it's, I guess, which side do we need the most? Do we need left or right side winger? And that'll be kind of where it comes in there. So I thought Hazen, I would have loved to see him use his size a bit more. I think he, obviously on kick chase and going up in the air, you have a step on the defender. That's that's kind of how it works. It's engineered that way. That's why they kick it where they kick it. And so on attack he was great. He was getting up and causing issues for the Manly winger. But on the other end, I would just love to see him just claim that space as his own. And obviously is it Willett, the Manly winger?
Yeah, Navarrete Willett. Yeah,
he's huge.
Yeah,
like
we're talking tall.
massive. So the fact that Hazen, competed well and on the attacking end was able to, actually come up with really good results, was really promising. And so I'm excited to watch him in Cup this year.
Me
I'm
too.
excited to see how he plays and kind of how he makes that wing spot his own. Obviously, he's, I guess, on the right this year,
Yeah,
and that could spell maybe AKP in
in the left position.
although was he,
He was right hand in All Stars too, which was
yeah, so
very
maybe
interesting.
we're going clear as Rogers number one,
Yep.
um,
And
and
whoever's fighting
then
that
it's a
right hand
shootout.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then
which at
again,
this rate,
I didn't want to read in too much of that All Stars in a sense too, because Fox prefers left side, and I think
yeah.
that you can't beat out Fox for what he's done in the Indigenous game. And Fox versus AKP, Fox is the better winger at the moment, but
Mm.
I think that's probably into it too. But there's also the thought, maybe that is the thought of maybe he is on a, because I know that AKP prefers the left hand side as well, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, I guess, how that shakes out for us. And if, say, if Rog needs another week, it could just end up that we start with both AKP and Dallin. Um,
Yeah.
it's good to see that AKP can play right side too. Obviously, it's not preferred, but that he is out there and he can do what he needs to do on the wing out there and still be, relatively effective. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I guess Hazen might have to shift around, depend who's playing in Cup, with
Mm.
alongside him on the wing. So good to know that again. Hazen can play right. He's adaptable. He's big. He's tall. So I was pretty impressed overall. But just, yeah, probably more out of Hazen in the air. But again, he
Yeah.
came up against a skyscraper. So
It happens, bro. It happens.
yeah.
And I thought that, like, yeah, I liked his effort. I think that was the biggest thing for me. He didn't shirk away from the game at all. Like, he did try to take it to it as much as he could. Like, he didn't have the ability to show himself off the back of shape, stuff like that. Maybe his finishing ability in the corners, like all those little things, is like a big winger as what he is probably where he will shine more so. He didn't get to show too much of that, but shout out to him. Beautiful shot that he laid on in that game as well too. Body to
Mm.
body contact off that wing, which is really good, because I had heard that he was just taking a little bit of time defensively, learning our system and stuff like that. So it's good to see that he can pull off those really nice hits off the back of shape. Just quickly, we'll quickly touch on Lecker. I don't want to touch too much on it because, again, I had the whole view set. I don't think Lecker was going to be a centre this year. There was never going to be a chance he was going to be a centre. I think he's an edge back roller. He's got the ability to play centre, and I think that's only when it comes down to when we have problems with our centre depth, which we currently obviously are in right now, right? But if we had a full deck of cards over the weekend or in trials, or even if Adam Pompey wasn't playing for multi All-Stars, if many of the other talents that we had there that can drop back, we can move some pieces around. I think we just got to the position where Lecker was our only option. We could start in centre in this game. Didn't have his greatest game in that centre position, but especially playing on the opposite side of where they usually play him on that centre position as well. There's a lot of different things there, but Lecker's performance in this game left a little bit to be desired, but I feel like that comes down to being out of position in a sense, and probably the team being a little bit more stagnant in attack due to, I think, the halves just not really getting it together in that game either. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it's hard to say went missing because as a centre you can't really impose yourself too much, or
Agreed.
else you're out of position and things like that. I thought he kind of falls it almost felt like I was watching Adam Pompey in a sense, like when we came out of yardage it went right winger, left winger, right centre.
Yep.
And fullback, like Geronimo was taking those as well. So left wing kind of get out in that area.
Yep.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're back.
So it's relatively unseen, I thought, of him. Like we didn't really again see very much of him in the game. I thought, like you said, I never expected him to line up round one for us at centre. They're never going to be an option unless all of our centres got injured in this game, over this weekend, which, I mean, knowing our centres, not the biggest stretch,
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's very interesting obviously as an option. Never in my wildest dreams again would I want him to be our centre. Love him in the second row. And I think a lot of the chat throughout the week leading up to the game was, oh, this is the master plan. This is solving
Yeah,
our centre issues. It's like,
it was never that.
no. Yeah, we had three outside backs playing in the Maori All Stars game, or four if you count Chance.
Yep.
So we didn't have centres.
Yeah.
We had no one to play that position unless we play other people out of position, and it just so happened that Lecker was already playing, so why not give him a go?
Exactly. And other centers that we could have put up in there, theoretically, like Sio Kali, but he's still kind of within the New South Wales Cup stocks at the moment. So we're waiting to see how that plays out. But he can play center, plays wing as a pinch too. But pretty sure when he came on, he was playing center for a period there too. So for me, it was never going to be the thing. It was more so I think that we were just trying to run out a team that we had out there for what we could. There was probably the ability if Tane was ready to go full on deck, maybe this trial we would have seen Chance to center. Or, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different options that we could have played around with before we got to Lecker. I just felt like because of the All-Star game, we didn't have any of the other options, so we had to run Lecker out there in the center position. So that's my quick thought on that one. Moving over to the halves, though, brother. So the halves, Tanner Boyd, Luke Hanson start off the game. Not to say I was really, really hyped to say, this is where I wanted to see Tanner Boyd just grow into that 7 jersey, lead the team around, bang, 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 because he's had the full preseason there at the moment before Luke comes back. I think that he was good without being incredible. I thought that he was very controlled, just kind of picked his points and stuff and didn't really attack the game more so as what I was kind of probably hoping it to. Luke, on the other hand, was a bit more of the running threat. I didn't think his playmaking in the game left a lot to be desired for me personally. His passing options just weren't there. When he went to 7 after that and we had him and Jack Thompson, I was actually a bit more looking at Jack Thompson going, yeah, Jack's got a little bit more of the ball playing. Obviously, he risked his that ball out and Blake Wilson ended up scoring off the back of. But other than that, I thought Jack Thompson probably showed out a little bit more playmaking wise than probably our halves that we had out there personally. I'm sure Tanner's going to be good for round 1. I'm sure Tanner's going to be good for preseason number 2 as well. And we're probably going to see the better out of Tanner this weekend. But just quickly, your thoughts on the halves and probably who stood out for you the most, like Jack Thompson, Luke Hanson, those boys?
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, I think. I think that was the what I got away from our halves. Like you said, I thought Jack Thompson was great when he came on. That pass that he threw that Blake Wilson ended up getting,
It happens.
yeah, that's the thing. It's one of those things that you look at and you go, oh, okay, oh well. He's what, 20, 19, something like that.
20, yeah.
He's
so young.
He's still playing flag. We're probably not going to see him in cup this year. That's kind of how it's going to go. So
he's still playing SG ball too, bro. He can go back to SG ball. So he's still so young.
Well, and to see him come out and play the way that he did, and have the attacking prowess that we needed him to have, I thought he worked really well with our young guys at the end, which was awesome to see. It's good to see those younger combinations. Seeing him working with Harry Inch as well and how they played together was real cool. I thought that Tanner suffered from not having Geronimo Doyle be there where he needed him to be in those spots.
I thought so too. Yeah.
I think Tanner is a solid backup NRL half. He's not your number one, and he could grow into being a number one. I'm not saying that he can't be that, but he's got a great kicking game. He's got a great he can run deep into the line and give that ball late, but he needs someone outside him that can keep up and that can be there, and Geronimo just wasn't that on Saturday, and so it was disappointing for Tanner. I was disappointed for him. I thought his kicking was great. And that first kick he put up for Hazen where Ali ended up scoring, that's what we expect out of Tanner, and he's putting it on the spots. Luke Hanson, it's hard. I was disappointed. Not in his game, just that I was so expectant of him. And I think that may be my fault, knowing that It's the first trial and things like that. But he, I think, a couple of times ran the outside backs out of space a little bit. Where in cup, there's space there, there's a gap there, and he can do that, and or he gets the ball a little bit further inside than he did in this game, and I think I loved the eyes up. I loved the way he was looking to run and looking to push through the line, and if we had maybe a more renowned centre playing alongside him, we may have seen differences there. We may have seen, something like that. And even this weekend, I mean, we have Adam Pompey out there. So to see if he can, if he cuts inside and gets inside and things like that, like we could see that. And again, for Tanner Boyd as well, having Chance there this weekend will be more familiar. Will be something that he'll be able to know. Having Tane be able to come on as well and do that too, like that will be more familiar for him. That'll be something that he will be used to as a half. And so I'm hoping to see more out of those two this weekend. It'll be I'd be very intrigued and almost shocked if both of them had a bad game this weekend.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And like, I kind of agree in the sense, like, I think Tanner's, when you look at halfbacks in rugby league, I kind of put him in like molds of like Tanner's a structured half. Like he's a Jamal Fogarty. He's one of those sort of guys that I feel like the team, it's not like a DCE where he plays eyes up footy and kind of like plays what's in front of him and he kind of molds in that sense. He needs that structure behind him to get him to points in the field, but then he sets up a lot of his boys to play off the back of that and become playmakers. So your Tanes, your Chances off the back of his shape, that he gives them a little bit of space to make them work. And more so than him, he's going to be the guy to create everything to happen, if that makes sense. So, Luke is obviously a guy that's a playmaker. He's going to blow games open because he's got that speed. He plays off the back of that. Tanner's a bit more structured. He wants to get to certain points in the field. He gets to these positions. And I think that when it comes to when the first grade squad comes together and the better players come in and we all kind of get our timings right, he'll be completely fine. It was just one of those ones where, when I was looking at the Cowboys, and I know the Cowboys ran on a pretty flat deck, obviously, a very flat deck. But I looked at Tom Dearden and I was like, all right, he stepped up and he's becoming more of a 7. Like all the positions that Tom Dearden popped up, he was one of those really high class 7 positions. I was expecting 10 after a little bit more of a preseason, not to be Tom Dearden. Tom Dearden's in his own ilk, but to kind of probably look a little bit more of like bang, bang, here, make it all work. And Hansen kind of play that running game off the back of it and just play direct. And it kind of didn't really happen out that way, but I'm sure more in time it will. Just quickly on Harry Inch, though. Harry Inch, I thought that, for the short period of time that he was in there, we can't put too much into him as well, guys. Don't go over crazy or anything like that. I've already heard, I was talking to Warrior Holic and that, and he's already had comments of like, Harry Inch should start round 1 and he was better. I was like, man, that's so crazy to think about. But I thought he performed really well. I thought he looked really strong in contact, especially when he chose run first. Obviously, playmaking and all that is probably where he needs to grow in the sense of learning the game of rugby league and playing off the back of that. But I'm sure he will in the season, Jersey flag, or if he does end up going to Cup later on in the season. But just quickly on Harry.
Yeah, I thought when he came on, I thought he played really well. I was really, really impressed. And I was down at the beach with a few mates watching it, and when they get to the point where they're clowning you a little bit because the Warriors are losing, and but I was again, like, I was watching the trial not for the score. Like, I couldn't care if Manly. Well, I probably would have cared if Manly scored 50, but I couldn't care less about the result. That doesn't matter. I'm looking for how the players are playing and how if they're doing their jobs. And I think, like you said, the weather was impactful, and that's why we saw a lot of players not fully doing their jobs and first trial and things like that. But the way Harry came in, I think it was about 15 minutes to go. I was really, really impressed. I thought he, held his own, and obviously he's played professional sport. He played for Tasman in the national provincial competition here and for rugby, and has been a part of the Crusaders system. So obviously he's come from pedigrees, come from good systems and things that he's been able to make his mark and being able to play, good rugby. And now seeing him not really falter at that coming in the trial as well, and playing the way that he expects himself to play. And I'll always be on the Harry Inch bandwagon. I don't think, round one start is ever going to be, something we'll see. I mean, we'll be in a blooming crisis if that's the case,
Yeah.
like at that point, throw us out there at 7-6 and see what happens. But Harry, I'm excited to watch him. I'm, getting that Bar TV Sports subscription this year just so I can watch him. And I think, he's going to be really solid for our juniors, and he's going to grow up being really solid in the system. And I'm excited at the halves that we have coming through. Like you talk about, you talk about Luke Hanson, you talk about Jet Cleary, Jack Thompson, Jai Lanane, Harry Inch, like they're all there. And it's a few years ago, we were looking at our halves like, are we serious? Like, there's nothing really here. Like, it's quite barren, like it was, 2022, and it was like, okay, SJ and someone else, maybe, maybe, hopefully. And then, seeing Tamari Martin and Luke Metcalf come through, you're like, okay, we're getting there. And then even this year, like our halves look barren at the moment with both Luke and Tamari injured. I mean, Chanel's injured too at the moment, but he should be hopefully ready for round one. And so, our halves are locked in hopefully for round one of Tanner Boyd and Chanel Harris-Tavita. But past that, like, give these guys behind that kind of starting four, give these guys a year, 2 to learn combinations with each other, to work on that. And bro, I'd be scared for the rest of the league. Like these young boys are coming through, and they're not scared.
And as I said, we haven't seen Jai Lanane yet. Like he's under an injured cloud currently right now, but he's a guy that I'm very, very high on. I can't wait to see it. I think Jet Cleary was still under injured cloud personally. I don't know if he's back just yet, but he will be a little bit as well. So like we are having a little bit of like a depth sort of problem just due to the amount of injuries we're kind of racking up there. But this is another positive thing to the Warriors as well, too, guys. You want to think of it in a sense of like we've Luke, Chanel, Tamaide, who did I say before? Jai, Jet, all go down as our halves. That's 5 really good halves. And if you think about it, like Tamaide, Chanel, and Luke are 3 genuine halves that we could have playing in our position right now. And we still have Tanner Boyd and Luke Hanson there currently right now. So it could be a lot worse. A lot of other teams would be dealing with, like, let's say the Eels, they lost Mitchell Moses. And then they've got, obviously they've got,
Jonah Pezzett.
What's his name? Jonah Pezzett. He's filled in that position. But other than Jonah Pezzett, then they're really down their stocks again, right? We've been down our stocks, but we still got some stocks there that are able to work with. So there is a positive there with all that. I just wanted to point that out before everyone goes crazy and say, hey, like halves, but we do have halves. Just unfortunately, it's just a bit of a little bit of a crisis injury-wise there. But quickly before we jump off this game, bro, I'll name a couple of players, and I want to say, see if you enjoyed their game a little bit. But the first one I thought had a massive game in this one, probably the big standout for a lot of Warriors fans out there, Tanner Smith. Incredible, right? Very, very good.
He came on and was just really, really solid. And I think that's what we come to expect of Tanner. He's just again, like he does a job for us and he does what we need, like when he came in kind of through last year where we had a few injuries in the forwards, he was really, really impactful and really strong. And we didn't drop off when he came on the field. And I think there's been times in the past as well where we've had bench forwards come on and it's just like, all right, like when can we get Adam back on? When
Agreed.
When can we get when can we get these guys back on? But Tanner is just one that I'll always have confidence in when he comes on the field.
Pea Sikuvea, I thought he had a really good little performance there in the middle when he came on.
Yeah, I was again another one of those ones that you are surprised at. Obviously, it was a bit more towards the end, and we're getting towards all the young boys out there. But again, head and shoulders above like what we're seeing, and I really did like his performance.
Can't wait to see more out of him in Cup because he's got a lot of potential, that kid. One guy that I've kind of, not to say I look at him and I'm like, I just don't know yet, but I feel like he lifts with the competition and he's actually developing really, really well. Rodney Tuipulotu-Vea. I thought he was very good when he came on. I think that Laiafi had the game in the sense of like he was dominant, and then Rodney got put into this position, come on, and you're going to be the guy to change it in a sense. And he tried it the best that he could. Damaging run off the back fence, all that sort of stuff. Looked pretty much like Dimitri Vaimonga off the back fence. But I thought he had a very solid hit out there too. I was impressed.
And that really excites me for our cup team this year. Like I remember a couple of weeks ago now, we did our, round one team for cup, and there's those names like Sikuvea and Tuipulotu-Vea that you kind of forget, right? And yep. Oh, who have we got there? Who have we got there? We have, the names that come up, obviously Eddie and Tanner Sauer-Smith and, Jason Salalilo, but then those other names that we didn't really quite touch on, or I didn't really quite touch on, and seeing them play in this trial and go, that's right. Mm-hmm. We still have those guys coming through, and we still, we've still got a production line, and these guys are just the next off the rank, and it's so good that they've been able to train with, James Fisher-Harris, with Mitch Barnett, and have those standards. Like, this is how you become a footballer. This is how you train. This is who you need to be. And for them to then go out on the field and show what the, do their role, and not only just do a job, but do it effectively as well.
And I think like the bigger one for me, we talk about development and all that, Makea Tafua, bro. Oh, that try. What, man? He, guys, like, honestly, if you've followed Makea, like, coming through, his jump from how he's come from his development junior grade to New South Wales Cup last year was massive. He jumped, his development, his ruck recognition, choosing his time when to like kind of like play with the markers, then dish off, and just coming out, dummy up, like really destructive defensively in the middle, really strong. This game, bro, like he came on too, and I was like, yes, that moment was like, yes, that's what we need. Like, we got Sam Healy. Sam had a good game, like so-so game. Maikao had a really good game, and it just shows that we still have depth in those positions as well, while letting go Freddie Lussicks of the world and stuff like that. Maikao had a great game too.
Yeah, I really did enjoy his performance. Obviously, that try is absolutely outrageous. I remember, like, again, I was down at the beach watching it, and I, had it on live, and I was, guys, come look at this guy, and then like explaining to them, like, he's part of our like second team, and like he's only like 20, and just being like so excited to watch him, and then to see him be able to do that as well. Like, I think I was talking a bit about this last week, like when we had him and Sam Healy in the cup side last year and kind of 1-2 punching, Makai's, his kind of output was a bit dampened because of how great Sam Healy is, and he's way too good for cup. Then when Sam kind of is up with the main team, or is starting in the main team, and or has travelled over to Australia, and we're playing in Auckland with the cup side, and seeing how Makaya really took that on and had JD on the bench behind him, not once was I like, oh no, we don't really have a hooker. Like, Makaya he's fantastic. And it's going to get to the point where, we've got too many pigs for, too little holes kind of thing, like
Agreed.
not going to have enough space for these guys. And whether it's going to be Egan is like in a couple of years, and maybe it's Egan's out, or Sam Healy heads back to Australia, with some real good experience under his belt, and we bring up Makaya, or we see Makaya, go on to another team and absolutely brain it. But man, he was so impressive, and I think he gave really, really good ball to Jack Thompson as well. And Harry as well. And I think that's what showed that they were, what was, I guess,
stood out a little bit more.
Yeah, because they had that good ball, and they had that combo with him. Whereas like Wade was good with like obviously Wade was good, like he's always
He's
always
always
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it was at the start where we're still quite tight and things like that, and if Wade was on at the end, I don't think there would have been too much more of a uptick in what Wade was doing versus what Mackay was doing there. So I thought Mackay was outstanding.
Yeah, I thought he was very, very good, brother. We'll quickly jump over to the Maori versus Indigenous All-Star game. Shout out to the women's game, unfortunately going down to the Indigenous All-Star girls. Shout out to the Indigenous All-Star girls. Absolutely incredible game there too. They were down 16-0 at the half and they came back. Great performance. But quickly over to the men's. We got 16 all Maori versus Indigenous All-Stars, and I thought the Warriors boys stood out in this one. I thought that there was a lot of great performances there to write home about. That got me more positive from over the weekend, especially what happened with the trial a little bit. But first of all, I want to shout out a man in the middle, our leader, James Fisher-Harris, the ball playing on the man. That was the biggest thing. I stood back and I was like, this man's ball playing a little bit more than anything. And I don't know whether it's something he's come into the preseason probably entailing a little bit more as, there's been a lot of discussion with Aaron Clark being in that 13 jersey and the ball playing with him. And if he plays a bit more like a front rower, obviously Aaron's he's got the young halfback ability as well for what he had back in the day. But if Fish can give that as well, there's a lot of good options that our boys can run, two shape and out of, obviously in the middle. And Fish can do those tip-on plays, and it extended his gameplay as well for a longer period of time as well. His offloading game came into effect. I thought it was really good to see.
Yeah, I've always thought that like him, Mitch, and Aaron all had really good ball playing. But like I thought Fish was kind of the last one that was going to get that opportunity almost.
Yep.
And when I was thinking about the Māori All Stars team before the team was actually named, like 1 to 17 or 1 to 20 or whatever it was, I was thinking about James and just how that would work. And I was like, he'll be a prop, and Trey Mooney will be 13, things like
That's
that.
what I thought.
And then,
yeah,
and seeing him get named at 13, I was like, okay. Like maybe some bigger minutes, maybe, we're going to see that little ball play that we have. And I don't know, like I loved it. I loved watching the way that, he was laying off the ball. I thought it's a really interesting prospect for how we can play this year. Like with Mitch back as well, Dimitrik has some silky ball playing about him
he
too.
does. Yeah,
And so knowing that our middles, our kind of core 4 middles have some ball playing. Obviously, it was to Jackson Ford. He's more of a runner, but
straight up and down.
Yeah. But knowing that they can all ball play and that can be so interchangeable, I think is going to be a weapon that we need to use.
100%.
Seeing Aaron line up 2 out from the ruck instead of 1 in terms of and having James there and having the ability to play that short ball instead of the other way around. It'll be really interesting to see how they play with that, and I'm not sure we'll see it early. I think it'll be kind of one of those things that develops throughout the season. I think at the start of the season, we might just see Fish just run hard, and that's absolutely fine. That's okay.
It's going to be interesting because we did lose that a tad with Tohu and Dylan Walker leaving. And it feels like the boys have really worked on it. And it gives the defense in 2 minds, right? You got 2 front rollers that are running at you. You got Fisher Harris, Barnett, maybe, coming off the edge. But Fish can run at you straight. He can give that late tip on now. You got Dimitrik now coming off the bench, giving you the same sort of looks. You got Aaron Clark that's playing in that pivot role, in that 13, shifting it to our out the back sets. It gives us all that added dimension, and it helps us so much, especially, when we're going to be talking about our attack goal line defense, stuff like that. Those sort of things will open things up a little bit more when we got players like that can have that 3-prong attack sort of thing. It was really impressive to me to see, especially for a player that is majority known for his more defense and his leadership. He opened his attacking game in this game and actually looked really, really silky, and I enjoyed it. Shout out to our boy Jacob Laban as well. I thought that a couple of errors later on in the game, but he started off that game like a house on fire. I thought he was one of the biggest standouts earlier on. Great performance there, and I think that maybe, when we're talking about 6-man bench or, a guy that's going to find his way in there in that position in our starting team either way, I like him as a starting edge back row and then bringing Lecker on as that impact player. And I think that showed out over the weekend in the Māori All-Star game.
Yeah, I was actually thinking before stream today, like this afternoon, thinking about Tamati's injury and what
Mm,
that does to our bench. Like I think when we think about our bench and thinking about Tamati, Sam and Tane, like those
yep,
were kind of like we were going to carry. Well, to me, it felt like we were going to carry three smaller players, three forwards.
I agree.
Um, and now I think that opens up the space for Jacob Laven to really make an impact and even be, a starter. Um,
Yep,
and I thought he played outstanding
yeah.
to start that game. And I don't know if it's the Maori All Stars that does it to him, but I mean, the way he runs that line. That was scary. I was sitting there a bit. Man, I would not want to sit there in front of him. I was getting heart palpitations thinking about what that was going to do. And oh man, the way he ran onto that ball, I think it was from Chance.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep,
just
chance.
even that ball playing there from Chance, like running straight into that hole and just doing his job. And I think I'm excited to see him do that this year, hopefully for first grade.
Yeah, and that was like, shout out to Chance quickly there, playing out of position again. I don't like him as a 5'8". I've never enjoyed that out of Chance. Good fullback. I love him at fullback. I think he's solid. He gets through his work in that moment where he stepped off his left, kind of divot into the hole and then put Laban through that. He loves doing that on the edge at fullback because obviously you got that rushing defense that comes in, puts time and pressure. He loves to come off his right and then put in between and just tunnel ball it. Obviously it showed out in this one. I thought he actually showed his hand. Like he did really well out there in the six for what he can produce as a six, in my opinion. So shout out to him. Just quickly out of, Dallin, I thought Dallin had a great game out there. I thought obviously his yardage carry was a big showing point for me. Scoring a try in this game, slamming the ball down, saying, yeah, I'm here, baby. Like, I enjoy that, especially a guy that carries a lot of, view set around, with the multi All-Stars. I was waiting for it, that early try that got taken away from the Indigenous All-Stars where I think it was Jojo Fafita that shot in really early and it left Dal on an island. And I was like, here we go. Everyone's going to say Dal just jams in all the time. It's like, nah, he followed his center in. He's got to do that. But in general, I thought he had a really good game out there too, and personally for me.
Yeah, I think that slam the ball was a bit of a statement as well. Yeah, Dallin is really solid. I think
Yep.
I think we were marred a bit last year by the defense inside him.
Agreed.
And changing center, a changing seven, a changing second rower, like that does not help a winger at all. When you're playing with different combinations every single week. And I thought like even going back to the quarter final or the first week of the finals, last year,
Yep.
he played well.
Agreed.
Like I don't think he was bad. I was quite impressed. Obviously, everyone has an off game. We lost to the Panthers. I mean, like it's if we lost to the Titans in the final, I'd be a bit worried. Sorry to all the Titans fans that watch the All You Can Eat Warriors. I've been throwing a bit of shade at you guys, but I don't know. Dallin has been really solid.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind him getting around one spot. I think there's been a bit of talk about fans that are just over him jamming in,
Yep.
and that's why we're seeing, these calls for AKB to start over him and things like that. And at the moment, it's up in the air. Like we do not know who's going to start. And I think for Dallin, it's important that he just continues to do his job. And if his centre rushes in, if Ali rushes in, just go with him.
Yeah.
Surely Chance can make it round the back, things like
It's
that.
the way
Like,
NRL teams defend, bro. That's all
yeah,
it is. That's all I continue to say to people. You see it week in, week out. It's just unfortunately Dallin's been hit with a stick because he does probably emphasize it a little bit more than some do as well. But every winger has it. I can continue to go back to when you watch when Dallin wasn't there, Tane was in that same position and Tane was doing exactly the same thing. It wasn't any different in any sort of way. It's just obviously Dallin does it with a bit more emphasis because at times I felt like Dallin, he used to get caught in between going for the intercept more so than going for the tackle. And I feel like he kind of went away from that a little bit. He's just charging defensively and just like holding pressure. But just to get off that very quickly, shifting over to a couple other boys from Moldy All-Stars before we talk about AKP. Tamade obviously sucked to see him go down injured because I thought that he was having a really good game out there. Kicking wise, probably wasn't left a little bit to be desired. I think the wind probably didn't help him out there too. Looked like the weather out there wasn't really helping too much. But you know, as I love with Tamade, he's always dangerous to the ball. There's always defenders on alert. He always attacks the game the most, and to put that kick off the back of, I think it was. Whose head was it? And to get the repeat set. Who was that?
Yeah.
As Josh Patson, old Patson.
Yeah.
Just skimmed the poor bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but shout out to him. But quickly also, Adam Pompey, coming off the bench. That offload that he snuck out, unfortunately, was it Watere that put it down, or Trent Tolau put it down?
Yeah.
But that beautiful offload, I was like, ooh, hey, here we go, Adam Pompey. But good to see those boys have performances. But your thoughts there?
Yeah, I thought with Tim Idea, like again, his space creation is next to none. I don't know how he does it. But like the way he just has so much gravity is outrageous. I think, like you said, it was windy, the conditions were yuck, it matched the city, so he had to play in Hamilton, like that's pretty tough anyways. So we won't take that off him. But yeah, no, I thought he played well. I was really impressed. And again, like if he was making a charge for playing 7, I thought he directed the team around enough. I mean, it looked better than Tanner, obviously, different caliber of players around him and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting watch, and I'm so gutted that he got hurt. You don't like to see it. Tamati is one of those guys who's been through everything. Out of the game for a few years because of his head, and then 20 weeks on the sideline when he got injured in 2023. I just want him to be healthy. I think he's so cool. He's such a good player, and he was instrumental, I think, at points last year. Really, really good off the bench and kind of what we needed, and that'll be a hole that we have to fill.
Agreed.
He's not just like another player now. He's someone that we need, and we need him around. We need something out of him, and to miss that for the first 10 to 12 weeks, like that's going to be tough. Adam Pompey, he's sneaky, getting like really, really good.
Yeah, nice.
I remember like a couple of years ago, people were like, oh, we have to play Adam Pompey, and then the year after it's like, oh, well, Adam Pompey was there every game. And last year it was like, oh, Adam Pompey was pretty mean,
Not bad.
And so, yeah, I thought he had a good game. He was pretty solid. And yeah, that offload, I don't know how he does it, but he's so silky in that as well. Like he's so, he just has that knack of getting the ball out where it needs to be, or getting into position where he needs to be. And he's always available, always around. And yeah, I'm excited to see him run out with the boys on the weekend.
Shout out to Pompey too. Like, in a game that I was just checking the stats here quickly, like you had Casey McLean out there for 60. He played 60. Casey had 9 runs for 68 meters. A little a low game for Casey. I thought really unnoticeable. Pompey had 10 runs for 71. Not a massive uptick there, but for a guy that came on off the bench and in a period of the game, I thought that I thought he was fairly noticeable out there for me.
Yeah, I think Pompey's he's a very interesting player, and I'd love to see him continue his trajectory because again, you put him up against Casey McLean, and McLean gives you a bit more of a bit more confidence just because of the output attacking and how solid he is. And I mean that game against the Bulldogs last year where he kind of solidified himself, Adam Pompey really hasn't had one of those games, and I don't think he's one of those centers.
No.
But he's someone that will give you 10 runs for 71 meters every week.
Yeah.
He's someone that will give you an offload that switches the game around every week. He's fantastic defensively. Like last year, that our left side was the number one defensive side in the whole comp. And it's things like that where you go, oh, maybe Adam's really good. And so he's sneaky. He's what I like to call sneaky good.
He is sneaky good, bro.
Yeah, he's sneaky good. So I was really thrilled with Adam. And yeah, again, he's not a highlights player, but he's someone that when I think about our team on the weekend, boy, am I glad he's there.
Yeah, 100%. I can't wait to see him over the weekend, and like his connection, obviously to start the season, Roger is rushing the clock to get back by round 3, I think I was checking before. So Loffy will be probably outside of, I would say Loffy would be outside of him. I'm really excited to see that connection because I think out of the two centers, like Ali's got a beautiful ball playing ability and all that too, but we do like to go left at the moment, more so than we like to go right. And with Bumpy, that beautiful little silky skill that he has to get the ball out to his winger, the space AKP, I think that that will look really, really nice. But quickly, just talking about AKP, again, that he didn't get a lot of show. Like I thought that Nico Hines stunted a lot of that side. I thought Trindle probably had more of the hot hand in that game. There was a couple of moments where I was like, I think, who was it? I think Trey Fuller hit a hole. He almost got his teeth through the defense, and AKP was just on his inside. If that ball came out in any sort of way, AKP's gone, done and dusted, and that's what AKP obviously can bring. But what kind of impressed me more so about AKP is his runs out of yardage. And in this game, he actually put his heads up. He saw that there was space in behind the ruck. He was darting in behind the ruck. Those really nice dart sets out of yardage impressed me a lot. Again, AKP, what he's good at is obviously finishing, speed, line breakability, like those sort of things. When the game breaks open, he's a guy that can break the game open in the sense with his speed, he shut the gate. But it's the hardworking stuff that Dallin and Roger do so well that I really want to see out of him more so than not. And I think he showed a lot of that in this game too. So I'm seeing more improvement out of him. Obviously, to get to see a ton out of him in this game, especially with attacking ball in hand. A couple of nice defensive shots out there too that caused errors in this game as well. So big shout out to AKP for doing as much as he can with what he was given, really, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and look, if we need him, he's going to be really serviceable. And I think he's learned a lot this year. In the preseason, I think he's I thought he was very, very solid. And so knowing that we have that is really important. I think it fills me with a lot more confidence. Did you say Roger round 3?
I think was it Roger. Oh,
I
round 1,
round
sorry.
1.
I thought it was a little bit later. So yeah, Roger should be back round 1. So even then, I have to wait and see how that plays out.
I thought you had some secret mail that you hadn't been telling me. I was
no,
getting worried for a second.
I think I got him mixed up with I'm sure maybe it's Jai Linane that's back around those early rounds. But yeah, I'll talking out of my ass, to be honest.
Hey, that's what we do. No, but I think solid game. Again, just going to be a solid player for us. I like the fact that he worked hard out of yardage, and I'm sure, going to this game, surely that's something Webby would have said to him, show me that.
Yeah.
Because it is a trial game as well. As much as, there is intensity and there is, so much on the line in terms of, cultural pride, it's still a trial game. And, these guys are playing 20-minute quarters and, having 60 minutes as opposed to 80 out on the edge and things like that. There's things we're seeing where to see him be able to be solid, even with, again, Trindle having the hot hand on the other side and watching Adokar, do Adokar things on the other side. He wasn't a passenger, and I think that was really important.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And quickly, to jump off this game, put a little bow on it. Something that I've noticed too, and I put it all over the WhatsApp chat on WhatsApp when watching the trial over the weekend. I thought what really impressed me about all the Warriors boys, and I noticed this about all the Warriors boys, it wasn't just us, and like there was a lot of like, it wasn't something that everyone was doing either. You saw a bit of a difference, but our wrestle sessions must be doing really, really well at the moment, especially as attack guys. So like, wrestling's not just obviously in tune for defense, it's definitely for attack as well. When they were getting caught in the ruck for the wrestle, you notice Fish has always done it really well, and I think this is something that Fish has brought to the Warriors as well. It's kind of not say legal, it's like dark art sort of stuff, but they're hipping out of the tackle really well to play the ball just off the mark to the side, causes a quick play to ball, causes the marker to be out of square, and it opens things up for players like Wade Egan and stuff later on. But I noticed in all the trial, all our Warriors boys were A1 at doing it over the weekend, and really hard to work out in the ruck. And they're basically getting themselves to a knee, hipping out to a side, playing the ball quick, causing the marker to be out of square. Each and every one of those guys, and it was very noticeable over the weekend. Then when you started to watch guys like Trey Mooney's and stuff like that, when they were playing the ball, it was getting up to your knees and that, and then straight up through the ruck. It wasn't like a wrestle out. It was just straight up through, slower play the ball, the ruck square now. It's just a little noticeable thing, guys, but it's also to say that Kai Kara-France is doing a lot of good things with our wrestle tech at the moment, because they are hipping out very similar to like a breaking defense in wrestling. So they're hipping out to a side. It's kind of how you're trained to be done when guys are wrestling to you from your back takes and stuff like that. It's really, really high IQ stuff. And I think it's another thing, as I said before, Fish has kind of brought to the club, because it's always something Fish has done so well. And Mitch always made it a big note that we need to be better within our ruck, with our defense and our attack. And I think this is something that the boys have really worked on in the off season, but something I've just noticed. But did you kind of notice that a little bit?
Yeah, and I'm just glad it's not it's that kind of dark arts where it's not like annoying. You know, like the how Zach Lomax would like thrash around,
throw someone around,
flopping, and then like try and like headbutt their chest, like dive into them, to get a penalty. Like, I'm just glad that it's going unnoticed. It's something that we don't see just straight away.
No.
And I don't it is. When you pointed it out to me, like when I had a look and seeing that happen, and like seeing the boys be able to do that, like it's just another point of difference, I think, in our forward pack. And like when we think about giving Wade Egan and Sam Healy a bit more time, like it's going to cause some havoc. And I'm hoping that it translates into round one, and we can, get on the front foot and, show teams that, we're not just here to make up the numbers, and we're not just here to just make the 8, but we're going to challenge and we're going to play well.
And guys, like, I think that for number one, like, this could be just something I'm looking well too deep into, but it's something I notice over it, and it's something that I feel like the boys have been working on really, really well in the off-season. So let us know if you noticed it over the weekend and start to notice it a little bit more. You might notice it this weekend. Keep an eye out for it, because it opens up things for hookers, especially when you do it perfectly, that marker becomes on the side of the ruck, and so the marker's out of square. And what is Wade Egan probably the best like hooker in the competition at doing? Catching that marker off square. I think the only guy that I can compare to that is probably Api Coruscant and Harry Grant, as good as that into like learning whether markers are out of square and getting those 6 against or getting that advantage from it. But that little added little thing, hipping out to the side, the little knee slide out, playing the ball on the side of the marker, but still within your mark. Enough for the referee to be in the allowance, and it just opens things up even more. And I think that's a really, really good thing to look at, and it shows the boys are working really hard in the off season. So make sure you notice that over the weekend. Before we jump to the team list, bro. Oh, you got something to say quickly?
I was just going to say, if you're from the NRL or a referee or someone like that, don't look at that.
Don't listen to any of that. Yeah.
No, he was just lying. Yeah, so if you're from another team as well, like, Phil Gould, I know you watch this, so just don't say anything, bro, because, you were with us at one point. So just keep that in mind, or the boys will run over the top of you. I don't know. They'll
what I might
do,
I might play some copyrighted music right now and then take it out on YouTube later on, yeah? Let's see how it goes. You guys know. You guys saw it, but no, later on. You won't see it later on. Just quickly, guys, I want to go through the injury report before we go through our trial team list, so you guys kind of have an understanding why there's some certain names that aren't on the team list in the trial this weekend. Mitch Barnett is still due to be back early rounds. It's not confirmed yet. He's still racing back, hopefully for round 1, but maybe up to round 3. I think Rocco Berry is he's mid-season here on the recovery report, so we won't see Rocco back for a little bit due to the shoulder surgery that he had to get another clean out with. Chanel's racing back by round 1 with a calf injury. Alofiana Khan-Pereira is out this weekend with a concussion, sort of just a precautionary from the All-Star game. Jalen Nane's out. He's got knee here for early rounds, but I heard it was a hamstring, so just keep an eye out for Jai early rounds there. I think that's more precautionary as well. Tamade obviously broke his leg, so he's out back till round 11 to 12, so more later on in the season. Metcalf obviously is not back till round 8 to 10. I heard Metcalf was pushing for around 6 to 7, but that's sitting around 8 to 10 probably confirmed. Ratsania Kude is on a calf injury at the moment, so due to be back round 1. And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is back round 1 with a hamstring injury that he's trying to recover from. And other ones that aren't on this list yet, obviously Dimitri Vaimonga, I think he's just being rested this weekend after his little head knock. So I hadn't noticed him on the team list. Yeah. No, he's definitely not on the team list. So yeah, he is resting this weekend after the head knock over the weekend. So we're saying that. Let's move over to the team list that we have here, my brother. So this weekend, coming up against the Dolphins over at Leichhardt. Very interesting. We're playing at Leichhardt, not KO. But really not too sure what's going on there. I think there's a big day. Yeah, home of the Warriors, KO. You love it. Yeah, like we're playing at Suncorp twice this year. Let's moving on anyway. Moving on. Chance Nickel-Klokstad comes back in that fullback jersey. We'd love to see it. Obviously, Tane is named a little bit later on down here too. So Tane just recovering from a leg injury earlier this season, broken leg that was first reported. So keep an eye on him. Dallin and Hazen Mellors on the wing. Ali Leotar and Adam Pompey in the centres. Luke Hanson, Tanner Boyd go one more round again in that half. So hopefully the boys get to see a little bit more out of them in this game here. Moving over to front row, we got Tennisdale Smith and Jackson Ford starting off the game. Both Fish is getting rested as well. So good to see Tennisdale Smith after the performance he had last week. He's getting the nod here to start. Wade Egan in number 9. Kurt Capewell, Jacob Laban starting there on the edges. Aaron Clark in that 13 jersey finishing off with the interchange. Sam Healy, Morgan Gannon, Lekau Lasima, Eddie Idemia Toyaba. And then later reserves, we got Tane, Kalis, Jack Thompson, Makea Talfa, Montu Pasikala, Sio Kali, Putoko, Geronimo Doyle, Rodney Tuipulotu Vea, and Bea Siku Vea, Junior Siku Vea. Good little team list, brother. Any big notable standouts for you? Obviously, we're not full strength right now, and we all kind of understand it. It is still trials, so it's not the end of the world. But what positions are you looking at? What are you more surprised at that you're probably seeing in this team list here?
I don't know. I think it's I think it has the bones of our round 1 squad. Especially in the backs. Like it's only really, Hazen Hazen and Hanson that won't be there. I'd say in round 1. I like it. I don't mind it as a kind of back 5. Obviously coming up against pretty much a full strength minus Tabuai Fido Dolphins side, which is pretty outrageous, really. Obviously they don't have Marshall King or anything like that. But knowing that, I'd love to see our backs be able to handle their backs. I think Dolphins have one of the best back lines in the comp. And so if we can, I'll be looking for that this weekend, kind of seeing how we contain them and keep them under wraps. I think they're giving away a little bit of what they're going to do this year, the Dolphins. I think might find that Jake Averillo might be a bit on the outer there, and Tabuai Fido might slide into that centre role. And so I'm excited to watch Trey Fuller just strictly Supercoach purposes, which I'm sure you'll talk about tomorrow night or Thursday night or something like that. But no, I'm just excited to see how our combos work. Again, it's a trial. We're not looking for a 30-6 win. Barely even really looking for a win. We're just looking for people to do their jobs.
Exactly.
Do what they need to do. Tanner to kick how he needs to kick, to put players where he needs to put them. Luke Hanson to run hard and to not run out of space Tanner, Jacko, like the boys on the bench as well, like playing big in the middle. Oh man, I'm excited to see Laban start. That'll
Yeah.
be really good. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm just everyone to do what they're meant to do, and less errors, hopefully, and more intensity. I'd say is my kind of takeaways there.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Jacob Laban start the game. I think that's going to be a big one. I think the matchup I'm really excited for is Ali Leotoa versus Herbie Farnworth. Herbie notoriously probably right. Him and Critter are the best centers in the competition. Well, the Trail's playing center now. If you want to throw him in the mix as well, but those guys are the upper echelon. So going up against Herbie in a trial match, you get to see the ability of Ali. And I think defensively, Ali is stout. He's very very good. I know he had a couple of moments last year where he probably left a little bit to be desired, but I remember that first game he had against the Raiders from memory against poor Jared Croker, but he locked him up, key on his 300 game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Spoil the party was the motto of that week.
Well, one of the nicest guys in the competition, Ali comes out there and just, he loved Jared Croker.
Yeah, I was so happy that night. I've just never been a Croker fan. I think I think it was the whinging that did it for me. But seeing Ali, I feel bad for saying that. But
I've never had anyone call out Jared Croker like you have. It's crazy.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a family thing because I know my mum doesn't like him as well. So maybe it's like maybe we just ended up hating him one time and it just stuck. But I don't know.
We all have those players. We all have those players, though.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to see Ali lock up Herbie this weekend. Spoil his second preseason. I don't know, second preseason game. But yeah, I'm excited to see how he plays. If he has taken the learnings he had last year with defense, I think, like he said, he switched off a little bit a couple of times with defense, and I'm hoping that that's kind of out of his game now, and he's solid and big. As he played big last weekend. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for our young guys to come in at the end as well. That we have so many exciting outside backs is crazy. See Thompson get a bit more game time would be good.
That's a big plus too, yeah. Shout out to Jack Thompson, probably won that spot after his performance over the weekend. I know we are carrying a little bit less of halves, but Harry Inch could have gone there again or whatever. But we had Jack Thompson there too. Makaya is still there as well. Sio Carly, I'd love to see a little bit more. I thought Sio was noticeable in that game over the weekend, but he didn't have enough time to really show out in that game. So he's definitely got to watch out for. Pizocco, obviously, who I thought Pizocco had a decent performance over the weekend as well. Obviously that error early on, but he regained himself after that, and I thought he looked really damaging against some boys that are fighting for first grade at least. I think it's going to be a really good hit out, bro. I think it's going to be 50-50 in this one. Obviously, the halves are probably the biggest difference. Isaiah Katoa, Tanner Boyd, Luke Hansen, Cody Nicolima, and that back line's really strong. But I think our boys can definitely fight with the fight there. And when I'm looking at the forward pack, I think our boys can go with this one as well. Like the upside of Jacob Laban and that. Wade Egan in the middle comparatively to a Brad Snyder. I think it's going to be a pretty 50-50 trial, but I'm right there with you. Like the way I look at trials is I just want to see really good shape being run. I want to see the boys popping up in the right positions. Win, lose or draw, I'm not too phased too much. Obviously don't get beat by 50 and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I just want to see boys look like they've got a lot of intent, some upside for individuals. I think that's the main sort of point out for trials at the end of the day, but really excited guys. So 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time over here. On the Friday night. So that would be 8 p.m. over there in New Zealand. So make sure you keep an eye out for the trials. And quickly before we go, bro, our junior grades over the weekend. Unfortunately, both our junior grades going down again. A little bit of a slower start for both our Harold Mats and our SG Ball this season. SG Ball started pretty slow last year as well. Harold Mats this season probably started a little bit slower than maybe a lot of people thought. But first of all, the Harold Mats going down to the Rabbitohs 28-16. I thought we started the game like a house on fire, honestly. I thought we got out to a decent little lead there, 2-try advantage. And I thought that we had a lot of good control over the game. Then we kind of lost it a little bit towards the end. The Rabbitohs boys came home really, really strong. They have a lot of really good talent in their side. But some names that I pointed out, and I'm continuing to watch this season. Keanu Simpson, I think that he's a guy that I'm watching. He's got the body shape of a Lockie Galvin. He's got that that movement. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing out of him at the moment. Not to say he's Lockie Galvin. I'm not putting that much hype on him just yet.
Oh gosh.
But just keep an eye out for him. I think that the more he
Feel good,
progresses for the
Colin.
grades, yeah, feel good. The more he progresses for the grades, he's a guy to watch out for. And Riley McGrath Huggins, I thought that as soon as he came off the bench, he changed the game for the positive. And the two starting front rowers, I thought had a really good crack in this one. Add that with as well, just quickly, the fullback out there, Kylan Olsen. I thought that he had a couple of nice moments in this game as well, but not too much to really write home about just yet. But I'm sure the boys, when they get a bit more cohesive, they get around the park a little bit better, you'll see the upside of this Harold Matt side. And the SG Ball, brother. So SG Ball over the weekend, 36-12. That Rabbitohs SG Ball side is stacked full of a lot of great talent
Absolutely.
out there. So nothing to, would love to obviously come out with a win that game or get a little bit closer. But with a couple of things like a sin bin in that game, it just obviously pushed it out. But guys to watch out for, Joseph Ratcliffe, man, he's having a great season. Oh, having a great season at SG Ball. I think what we're seeing with Ratcliffe is him playing flag last year and coming back to SG Ball. He's starting to acknowledge like he is better than that grade. You're starting to see a little bit out of it. But a guy I've really enjoyed in that SG Ball is Mark Sikuvea. I've really enjoyed his game at the moment. So he's someone that's really standing out for me. But any names that I'm kind of missing here at the moment yet, brother? Obviously, the Rabbitohs, they've got Taj Alvarez and that very, very good hot talent. And one of your boys there as well. So yeah, I don't know. We'll take a little bit of time to get going SG Ball when Jack Thompson comes back. Hopefully we'll see how it all kind of pans out. But some still good individual performance to pick up on and be excited for the future.
Yeah, I think it's one that we're going to really have a look out for in the next kind of few weeks to see how they turn around. I think that's kind of the most important part is seeing how they come back from these two losses. Obviously, both teams we've played against aren't the easiest teams to play against, and both have pretty large catchment areas and pretty good junior systems all around. So, again, it's with juniors, we're just looking again for people to be doing their jobs, putting what they're learning and training out onto the field, and just to be not playing within themselves, not playing worried or just doing what they need to do. You mentioned Keanu Simpson. I'm pretty sure his older brother Rico plays in the Blues development at the moment, the Auckland Blues. Yeah. So he has had a few hitouts in their preseason. I watched a few of their games. He's plays first five. So he's pushing in there. I'd say we'll probably see him in Super Rugby and maybe a little bit this year, hopefully. But Keanu has someone professional to look up to at home as well as at training. So and it's like the Carly in there as well. Sio's little brother. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. And just obviously when they get Jack Thompson back, it's going to be a whole world of difference. And hopefully we end up seeing that pick up and Jack take what he's got out of these trials and working with Tanner Boyd and Luke Hanson and bring that back down to SG Ball. I can't believe he can play SG Ball. That's just so awesome. It's like it is so cool. And I'm excited to watch him play SG Ball. I've got this Bar TV Sports membership is gonna get used because I need to watch.
Get a workout.
Yeah, I need to watch a few more of these players. I need to book out my whole weekends now around footy.
Well, we're saying that too. Bishop Neal missed out over the weekend due to a concussion, so I think he'll be back. We've got a bye this weekend, so free footy. All we're watching for Warriors footy, guys, this weekend is the trials. And if you are over in Australia, I don't know if it'll be televised, but the New South Wales Cup trial against the Redcliffe Dolphins. I'll be going to that personally, guys, so I'm very, very excited to see that. But yeah, Bishop's got the rest up this weekend, so hopefully him coming back, probably We did leave a lot to be desired with no Bishop out there as well. Obviously, Bishop's one of our big names coming through the grades. So when he comes back, it'll be good. Another guy that we're waiting on to come back for SG Ball is Jeremiah Lamana. So what that would mean, from what I've heard, it may be Joseph Ratcliffe going to a 6 jersey, Jack Thompson next to him, and Jeremiah Lamana at fullback. So still a lot of players still come back to the SG Ball side. But they are a little bit slow starting at the moment, but there's still some positive signs around that. So definitely keep an eye out for those boys, and get behind the boys. I'm sure that they're doing amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, my man. I think that'll pretty much do it. As I said, guys, I will be going to the trial this weekend on a Saturday. So, guys, if you go, if you see me out there, come say hello or whatever. I'll say hello to you guys, all this and that. Shout out to Killer Mozilla back in the chat as well. Good to see you there, brother. It's been a while, my man. Hope you're doing well. But, guys, yeah, if you missed any part of the stream, make sure you rewind the stream back. Obviously, it's on YouTube a little bit later on if you enjoyed all the content. My man, anything more to add before we go?
Nah, I just wish I could see the chat, because I remember last year I was laughing quite a bit at all the chat. So I guess I'm laughing less, putting you off less, which is good. But I'm gonna have to rewatch to go and look at the chat and see what people are saying about me. Anyone being mean?
No one being me, mate. I think everyone's loving you at the moment. Look at this.
Not yet. Just wait. No one from Hamilton.
No one from Hamilton, no. I got the comment early on. I was like, this guy. But no, guys, if you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like and subscribe. Another week done and dusted. But next week, get excited for our review on the trials and our thoughts coming into round number 1. It's getting very, very close, guys. Vegas is getting very, very close. So there's a lot going on, guys, so make sure you keep around, like and subscribe for Wise Up TV. And if you want to become a member, guys, feel free. Down below, I'm pretty sure Lavon reworked the membership program, so feel free if you want to support the channel. The best way to do so is become a member in that, or just becoming subscribing. Some major uptick for us, and that'll be absolutely incredible. But appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Up the Wise as always. Jose said Josh looked like he has soft lips, so we'll end it on that note. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to say with that.
All right, guys. Have a good night, eh? Take it easy. Just put Josh off. Take it easy, guys. Love you all. Up the Wise, baby.